How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse and I am back for another comic book video. It is now the month of August and I am going to be doing nothing but reviewing MLJ characters for this month. So, instead of it being the month of August, it's the month of MLJ. Now, I'm going to get this month started off with a hero that I've been wanting to review for some time. This hero was also recommended to me by Bucky749. I am going to be reviewing someone who's been around as long as the Shield in the MLJ comic books, the Wizard. I'm going to be doing a review of him and his progression throughout the years of MLJ and beyond. That was not as cool as it sounded. That sounded better in my head. So, I'm going to go ahead and get this video started. If there are any MLJ characters that you want to see in this, you can go ahead and leave me a comment in the comment section of someone that you'd like to see and help direct where this month is going. Even if in the comment section you mention somebody who I'm already planning on reviewing, I'll still give you a shout out before I cover the hero. So if you want to help direct where this month can go ahead and leave me some comments. So let's get started with this video on the Wizard. The Wizard, Blaine Whitney, first appeared in Top Notch Comics #1 in 1939. The original publisher is MLJ, obviously, because we're in MLJ month. The creator of the Wizard is Will Hare and Ed Ashe. The Wizard would go to appear in a number of MLJ titles, such as the aforementioned Top Notch comic books, Hangman Comics, Pep Comics. He appeared in an issue of Special Comic in Miss Liberty Comics, and was in a number of issues of the Shield Wizard comics. Now, the Shield and the Wizard would team up for a multi-part storyline where they would also meet up with Kenneth Cornell and Lee Sampson, people I hope to get into this month, for the first American crossover storyline. And this storyline actually came out before the Submariner Human Torch storyline. So MLJ Comics was the first one to have the superhero crossover working together storyline. Now, Blaine Whitney's origin story has been, well, retconned a bit, and we're going to go with the retcon because, as any avid superhero or comic book reader such as myself knows, retcon is canon. Now, as the retcon story goes, Blaine Whitney was a man of great intelligence, and at age 14, even met President Woodrow Wilson, who told him that he should use his brain for good and not evil. But it would appear that Blaine Whitney is from a long line of, I guess, superheroes, super people who were helping since the Revolutionary War, I guess helping the government or the president in some way. Blaine became the next one in that line. Many of them would assume the name of the Wizard. Now, when Blaine was fighting crime, he would don a blue tuxedo, a mask, and a cape. He had many gadgets that he used to assist him in the war. Now, when he first came out, he did not have any superpowers. Much like the Black Hood or the Hangman, he just had great physical prowess, and he was very smart. Eventually, they would start to work in that he had the powers of a super brain, and it gave him many abilities. His super brain gave him super strength. Please do not ask me to draw the correlation between that. I cannot even begin to. His super brain also allowed him to have a photographic memory and sensory perception, where I guess it had helped him see things around him. He also developed the talents of hypnosis and telepathy. Now, near the end of his original run, they said that he had to replace his super strength with a secret formula. I guess your brain can only keep you strong for so long. And in his final appearances in the comic strips, he had no powers other than clairvoyant visions, which could still be useful. Now, when the Wizard very first took the scene, he did have his tuxedo and cape, and he looked very much like Mandrake the Magician, who came out before the MLJ characters. His first mask and cape were white, but they changed it to be red later on. He also developed a bulletproof exoskeleton restraint costume. I think he wore under the tights. And this blue tuxedo with the red cape is the costume that he would wear while he was in the Golden Age. Now, apparently back in the time of the Golden Age, sidekicks were a major thing. And I think sidekicks were more of a sounding board for heroes, because a hero unto himself wasn't really that striking back then. That would be something that was actually even more popular in the 60s. So the Wizard would see an orphan that was defending someone who was being mugged, and he fought the muggers, and Blaine was impressed by the boy's courage. So he would give him an outfit, a polo shirt with a blue collar, blue trunks, and a red cape, and would dub him Roy the Superboy, training him until he had the strength of 10 men. Can't even begin to describe how that works. Roy would team up with the S.H.I.E.L.D. sidekick Dusty and become the super duo known as the Boy Buddies. And I will talk more about that in another video. Let's see, Blaine Whitney also had a girlfriend named Jane Barlow. Jane was not happy with the fact that Blaine acted like a playboy in his lifestyle, much as the way that Tony Stark acted like a playboy. But she did develop an attraction to the Wizard that she did not know was Blaine, so this started a love triangle that was very similar to the Lois Lane being with Clark and loving Superman, or like Carol Ferris being with Hal Jordan and loving the Green Lantern. That was also a common trope back in the Golden Age, which the Wizard was also having his own love triangle too. Jane actually appeared for the first time in Top Notch Comics number 3 and would get married to Blaine in Top Notch Comics number 25. The Wizard would also acquire a newspaper called the Daily Citizens. The owner of the newspaper would be killed by some minor racketeers, and the Wizard would carry on the work of the owner. When he acquired the newspaper was the same time that we saw the sidekick Roy the Superboy. Among the gadgets that the Wizard would use, along with a bulletproof vest, he also had the Dynamagna Sol Ray projector, the H2VXO ray, and the secret formula, which was named F22X, and that was the secret formula that replenished his super strength near his end. He had a number of vehicles that he would use, some short distance, some long distance. He had the Wizard car, a submarine that went by the name Mystery Sub, a plane that could go on land and water, the strato-amphibian plane, an arrow chute, a rocket-powered neutroplane, and a rocket-propelled sled. So he was never without a mode of transportation. Some of the enemies that he would encounter as his time as the Wizard would be the Crone, Dr. Defeat, the Mohicans, and Mastermind, to name a few. Archie Comics would try bringing back the MLJ heroes in the 1960s. The Wizard would return as one of them, but not as a hero. He actually returned as a villain. As to his name, the Wizard, he actually had magical powers and was corrupted by greed. He no longer wore the mask or the cape and had a long white beard, and he fought the Crusaders, the Mighty Crusaders, many times, which was the MLJ heroes formed as a team. Apparently, his sidekick was brought to the past from the future to help him remember who he was and tried to stop him from being the villain. In the 1980s, they would be reviving the heroes one more time, and the Wizard was revived again. This time he was back to being a hero, and they would not be discussing his time as a villain. So it either never happened or wasn't important enough to mention. He would go back to his costume of the cape and the mask, but instead of wearing his original blue suit, he would be wearing a purple skin-tight suit instead. The Wizard would appear sporadically throughout the Archie comic titles, but he appeared on an irregular basis. Whether they have plans on reviving him or try making him part of the wave of the new superhero with Dark Circle Comics is yet to be seen. I never really have been big on heroes turning into villains because you're always waiting for them to go and be back to true to form, or you're wondering, are we using a new villain based on an old hero? Is the old hero going to come back and reclaim his title? It's not what I like. I like heroes being who they are. But I didn't write the stories. Well, that does it for this video. I'm going to be coming up with some more soon. Let's see how many we can get. And remember, if there's somebody in MLJ that you want to see, go ahead and drop me a line. I'd like to be able to cover the ones that I want to see and make sure that you guys get yours covered too. So, until next time, I'll be seeing you.